Kirk Douglas walked out of a children's hospital room and collapsed against the wall, tears streaming down his face, hands shaking. The nurses thought someone had died, but nobody had died. A 7-year-old boy had just told Kirk Douglas something that shattered him completely, and what Kirk did next would remain a secret for 20 years. December 23rd, 1970, 2 days before Christmas. Kirk Douglas was at UCLA Medical Center for a charity visit. Standard Hollywood stuff. Show up, smile for cameras, hand out presents to sick kids, leave feeling good about yourself. Kirk had done dozens of these visits. He knew the routine. 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Shake hands with doctors. Let the publicist get some photos. Move on. But this visit was different. The hospital administrator, a woman named Dr. Helen Marsh, pulled Kirk aside before he started. "Mr. Douglas, I need to ask you something. There's a boy on the 4th floor. Terminal cancer. He's not expected to make it to New Year's." Kirk nodded. He'd heard this before. "His name is Timothy. He's 7 years old. He's seen every one of your movies. His mother says Spartacus is the only thing that calms him down when the pain gets bad." Kirk felt something tighten in his chest. "What do you need from me?" Dr. Marsh hesitated. "He doesn't know he's dying. His mother hasn't told him. She can't bring herself to do it. So if you visit him, you can't. You have to be careful." Kirk understood. "I'll be careful." The 4th floor was quieter than the others. Less Christmas decoration. Fewer sounds of children playing. This was the floor where hope came to die. Kirk walked into room 412. Timothy Miller was sitting up in bed, attached to machines that beeped and hummed. He was bald from chemotherapy. His skin was pale, his arms were thin as twigs, but his eyes were alive. Mom, look, it's Spartacus." Timothy's mother stood up from the chair beside his bed. She was maybe 30, but she looked 50. The kind of exhaustion that comes from watching your child die slowly. "Mr. Douglas, thank you for coming. I'm Ellen. This is Timothy." Kirk walked to the bed and sat on the edge. "Hey, Timothy, I heard you're a fan." Timothy's face lit up. "I've seen Spartacus 14 times. Mom counts. I know all the words." Kirk laughed. 14 times? That's more than I've seen it." Timothy giggled. "That's silly. You made it." Kirk spent the next 20 minutes talking with Timothy about movies, about sword fighting, about what it was like to be a gladiator. Timothy asked question after question, his eyes bright with wonder. Ellen watched from the corner, tears sliding silently down her face. Kirk noticed she kept looking at the clock. He understood. She was measuring time. Every minute with her son was precious. Finally, Timothy got quiet. He looked at Kirk with a strange expression. "Mr. Douglas, can I ask you something?" "Of course." Timothy glanced at his mother, then back at Kirk. "Am I going to die?" The room went silent. Ellen made a sound like a wounded animal. Kirk's heart stopped. Timothy continued, his voice calm, almost peaceful. "The doctors whisper when they think I'm sleeping. I hear them say words like terminal and months. I looked up terminal in the dictionary. It means the end." Kirk couldn't speak. He looked at Ellen, who was shaking her head, tears pouring down her face. Timothy reached out and took Kirk's hand. His grip was weak, but his eyes were strong. "In Spartacus, you weren't afraid to die. You said death was just another adventure." "Is that true?" Kirk's voice came out broken. "Timothy, is it true?" the boy repeated. "Because I'm a little scared, and I thought maybe, since you're Spartacus, maybe you could tell me if it's true." Kirk Douglas had faced down studio executives, mob bosses, and the entire Hollywood establishment. He had never felt fear like this, never felt so completely unprepared for a moment. He looked at this 7-year-old boy who was asking him about death. And Kirk told the truth. "Timothy, I don't know what happens when we die. Nobody does, but I'll tell you what I believe." Timothy listened intently. "I believe that the people we love never really leave us. They stay here." Kirk touched Timothy's chest. "In our hearts, and as long as someone remembers us, as long as someone tells our story, we never really die." Timothy thought about this. "So if my mom remembers me, I'll still be here?" "Always," Kirk whispered. "You'll always be here. In everyone you've touched, in everyone who loves you. That's not dying, Timothy. That's becoming something bigger than yourself." Timothy smiled. Like Spartacus, even when he died, his name lived forever. Kirk's tears were flowing now. He didn't try to hide them, exactly like Spartacus. Timothy squeezed Kirk's hand. "Mr. Douglas, can I tell you a secret?" "Of course." Timothy leaned closer, whispered, "I'm not scared anymore." Kirk couldn't breathe. "Thank you for telling me the truth," Timothy said. "Everyone else lies. They say I'm going to get better. But you told me the truth, just like Spartacus would." Kirk pulled the boy into a hug, gentle, careful of the tubes and wires. He held him for a long moment. "You're braver than any gladiator I ever played, Timothy. You know that?" Timothy pulled back, smiling. "Maybe I'll be a gladiator when I—" He stopped. His smile faded for just a second, then returned, softer. "Maybe I already am." Kirk stood up. He couldn't stay any longer. He was about to break completely. "I have to go, Timothy, but I'm going to come back. Is that okay?" Timothy nodded. "Will you bring me a sword? A real one?" Kirk laughed through his tears. "I'll see what I can do." He walked to the door. Ellen followed him into the hallway. "Mr. Douglas, She couldn't finish. Kirk leaned against the wall. His legs wouldn't hold him. Tears streamed down his face. A nurse rushed over. "Is everything okay? Did something happen?" Kirk shook his head. He couldn't speak. Ellen touched his arm. "I'm sorry. I didn't know he was going to ask you that." "I didn't know he knew." Kirk finally found his voice. He's incredible. Your son is the bravest person I've ever met." Ellen broke down. "He's my whole world, and I'm losing him." Kirk made a decision in that moment, a decision he wouldn't tell anyone about for 20 years. "Ellen, I need you to give me a week." "What? Just 1 week? Don't lose hope yet." Kirk left the hospital, but he didn't go home. He went to his office and started making phone calls. Here's what Kirk Douglas did. In the next 7 days, he called every doctor he knew, every specialist, every researcher. He found the name of an experimental treatment being developed in Switzerland, a treatment not yet approved in the United States, a treatment that had shown promise in cases like Timothy's. He called the Swiss clinic. They said the treatment cost $50,000. It wasn't guaranteed to work. Timothy might not survive the trip. Kirk didn't care. He paid for everything: the treatment, the flight, the hotel for Ellen. 3 months in Switzerland at the best clinic in Europe. But here's the part that matters. He told Ellen one condition: never tell Timothy where the money came from. Never tell anyone. If reporters found out, Kirk would deny it. This wasn't about publicity. This wasn't about looking good. This was about a 7-year-old boy who deserved a chance. Timothy and Ellen flew to Switzerland on January 2nd, 1971. The treatment was brutal, painful. There were days Ellen thought Timothy wouldn't survive it. But he did. Weeks passed, then months. Timothy's cancer went into remission. The doctors called it a miracle. Ellen called it Kirk Douglas, but she kept her promise. She never told anyone. Timothy Miller lived. He went back to school. He grew up. He became a pediatric oncologist. a doctor who specialized in treating children with cancer. For 20 years, Timothy didn't know who had paid for his treatment. Ellen kept the secret, just as she'd promised. Then, in 1990, Ellen was diagnosed with her own cancer. She was dying. On her deathbed, she told Timothy the truth. Timothy was 30 years old, a doctor, a husband, a father of 2, and he learned that Kirk Douglas had saved his life. Timothy tracked down Kirk's address. He wrote a letter. "Dear Mr. Douglas, 20 years ago, you sat on my hospital bed and told me about death. You said the people we love never leave us. You said as long as someone remembers us, we never really die. You were right. I've spent my career trying to give other children what you gave me. A chance, hope, time. My mother just passed away. Before she died, she told me what you did. The money, the treatment, the condition that she never tell anyone. I'm breaking that condition now, because you need to know. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. Their names are Kirk and Ellen. You didn't just save my life, Mr. Douglas. You created 3 generations that wouldn't exist without you. My mother said you told her this wasn't about publicity. It was about a boy who deserved a chance. You were Spartacus to me. You still are, with more gratitude than words can express, Dr. Timothy Miller." Kirk received the letter on a Tuesday morning. His assistant found him an hour later, sitting in his office, holding the letter, crying. That night, Kirk called Timothy. They talked for 2 hours. Kirk finally asked the question, that day in the hospital. "When you asked me about death, were you really not scared anymore?" Timothy was quiet for a moment. "I was terrified, Mr. Douglas. I was 7 years old and dying. Of course I was scared." "Then why did you say you weren't?" "Because you were." Timothy's voice was gentle. "I could see it in your eyes. You were falling apart. And I thought, if I can make Spartacus feel better, maybe I really am brave." Kirk laughed through his tears. Timothy continued, "You gave me courage that day, not by being strong, by being honest, by crying, by showing me that even heroes are scared sometimes." Kirk was silent. "That's what I tell my patients now," Timothy said. "The kids I treat. I tell them about the day Spartacus cried, and they understand that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to not have all the answers." Kirk found his voice. "I didn't save your life, Timothy. You saved mine. That day in the hospital, you reminded me why I do what I do, why any of this matters." Timothy laughed. "Then I guess we're even." They stayed in touch for the rest of Kirk's life. Timothy would visit when he was in Los Angeles. Kirk would call on Timothy's birthday. 2 men bonded by a moment in a hospital room when one was 7 and the other was 53. When Kirk Douglas died on February 5, 2020, Timothy Miller was at the funeral. He stood at the podium and told the story. "Kirk Douglas saved my life," Timothy said. "Not by being a hero, by being human, by sitting on my bed and crying with me, by telling me the truth when everyone else was lying." Timothy wiped his eyes. "He taught me that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about being afraid and showing up anyway. It's about sitting with a dying child and answering the hardest question anyone ever asked you." Timothy looked at the coffin. "Rest easy, Spartacus. I'll remember you. My children will remember you. And as long as we remember, you'll never really die, just like you promised. And sometimes, if you look closely at the old photographs from Hollywood's golden age, you can still see it. Not the fame, not the awards, but the look in a man's eyes when he chose principle over comfort. Kirk Douglas played tough guys on screen, but off-screen he was tougher. In an industry built on pretending, his courage was the only real thing that lasted. Is there a moment in your life where you wish someone had stood up for you? or a moment where you stood up for someone else. Hollywood has many secrets, but these are the ones worth telling. If you want to know the real stories, the ones they didn't put in the magazines, you're in the right place. We are peeling back the curtain on the man who never bent. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to Kirk Douglas, the man who never bent. We are just getting started. There are stories about Bert, about Spartacus, and about the moments that defined a legend. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Leave a comment below. What would you have done in Kirk's position? I'll see you in the next video. Never bend.